Here we are back again. And we're going to talk about some of the places we flew into in Laos and Vietnam and how they were designated. The sites in Vietnam were called Victor sites, and that stood for Vietnam, of course. And in Laos, there were Lima sites for the designator of Laos and for L. And these sites were varied in different ways. Some of them were just plain Lima 08, which was Vientiane, a major airport. Lima 16 was another major airport, and so on and so forth. But the ones that were smaller, they became Lima sites. And many of those were dirt strips, sometimes on a hilltop, for the sole birds to go into. The only one that was kind of out of context on that was Lima Site 20 Alternate. That was a paved strip, and it was at that time the most secret place on Earth. Just over the ridge was Lima Site 20. It was a dirt or laterite strip, as you might call it, which is a form of iron ore. And it was short, and it pitched uphill, and then it plateaued at the top. We did go in that site with C-123s, and it was a very short strip for us. The minute you touched down on this thing going uphill, you slammed it into maximum reverse and buried your toes on the brakes, and you come to a stop in a cloud of dust, which you couldn't really see. So I'd wait for the dust to clear and bring the props out of reverse thrust and turn around and taxi down the little hill to an offloading site. This site was manned by Pop Buell. Pop Buell was there because he helped the refugees that were coming out of the various villages as the enemy got closer and they fled. And he was feeding them, housing them, and taking care of them as best he could. He wasn't a doctor, but he would also request medical evacs up there too, and get some of the Laotian doctors to come in there and help out. I liked this little strip. It was a challenge to get into, but it was fun, I thought. And you'd bring in a load of munitions or food and offload it there for them. And many of the munitions would go out to other strips by the little birds that would come in and pick it up. And we also hauled fuel in there in barrels and offload the barrels for them to refuel their ground vehicles and the porters and little airplanes that would come in there. Down in Pak Se area, which is southern Laos, there was a little difference in the designation. They were Pak Se sites, PS sites, and those were right up there by the Ho Chi Minh Trail, and they were in a dangerous area, and I think we will talk about that when if you read the book, you'll see some of the ones that I serviced there. There's a picture actually on the website of one of the 123s that made a misstep going into one of those sites and broke his nose gear off. And I recovered the airplane and brought it back to Udon for repairs. These areas were adventuresome, to say the least. And I hope that this clarifies a little bit of it. Vietnam had the same thing, some sites that were kind of rough getting into. In the middle of the Central Highlands, there was a site there that called Bom Bring, and it was serviced by the Special Forces, and we'd go in and resupply them and take their wounded out. It was short, uphill, and leaned one direction. So you weren't landing on a level strip at all. Your left wing would be down and your right wing would be up, going up the strip. And it was dirt too. And that was exciting. And they opened up another one north of there, and it was a PSP runway. First time I went in there, they just added that pure steel planking to the runway. And it was a sandy ground. And when I touched down, a ripple went down the runway, flinging the stakes that were holding this PSP on the ground up in the air. I didn't get any piercings out of that, but it taught me a lesson about some of these hastily contrived landing strips. Thank you.